Henry Louis Stimson once said, "The chief lesson I have learned in a long life is that the only way to make a man trustworthy is to trust him, and the surest way to make him untrustworthy is to distrust him." Thank You, Ma'am, by Langston Hughes. She was a large woman with a large purse that had everything in it but hammer and nails. It had a long strap, and she wore it slung across her shoulder. It was about 11 o'clock at night, and she was walking alone, when a boy ran up behind her and tried to snatch her purse. The strap broke with a single tug the boy gave it from behind, and the weight of the boy and the weight of the purse combined caused him to lose his balance. So instead of taking off full blast as he had hoped, the boy fell on his back on the sidewalk, and his legs flew up. The large woman simply turned around and kicked him right square in the blue jean sitter. Then she reached down and picked him up by his shirt front and shook him until his teeth rattled. "You pick up my pocketbook, boy, and give it here." "Now, ain't you ashamed of yourself?" "Yes, sir." "What did you want to do it for?" I didn't aim to." "You lie. If I turn you loose, will you run?" "Yes, sir." "Then I won't turn you loose."
"I'm sorry, lady, I'm sorry."
And your face is dirty. I got a great mind to wash your face for you. Ain't you got nobody at home to tell you to wash your face?
"No."
Then it will get washed this evening. You ought to be my son. I'll teach you right from wrong. At least I can do that to wash your face for you. Are you hungry?
"No, I just want you to turn me loose."
Was I bothering you when I turned that corner?
"No."
But you put yourself in contact with me. If you think that contact is not going to last a while, you've got another thing coming. When I get through with you, you are going to remember Mrs. Luella Bates, Washington Jones. Sweat popped out of the boy's face, and he began to struggle. Mrs. Jones stopped, jerked him around in front of her, and put a half Nelson around his neck, and continued to drag him up the street. When she got to her door, she dragged him inside, down a long hallway, and into a kitchenette furnished room. She flipped on the light switch and left the door open. The boy could hear other roomers laughing and talking in the large house. Some of their doors were open too, so he knew he and the woman were not alone. She still had him by the neck in the middle of her room. "What is your name, son?"
"Roger."
"Well, Roger, you go to that sink and wash your face." She had turned him loose, and last, he looked at the door, looked at the woman, looked at the door, and went to the sink. "You let that water run till it gets full. Here's your clean towel."
"Are you going to take me to jail?"
"Not with a face like that. I wouldn't take you nowhere." "Here I am trying to get home to fix me bite to eat, and you trying to steal my purse. I bet you ain't been to your supper ladies and be. Have you?"
"No, there's nobody home at my house."
"Then we'll eat. I believe you hungry, or been hungry to try and steal my purse."
"Nah, I wanted a pair of blue suede shoes."
"Well, you didn't have to steal my purse to get your pair of suede shoes. You could have asked me."
"Ma'am?"
Water dripping from the boy's face, he looked at her. There was a pause, a very long pause. Not knowing what to do, the boy dried his face. And still not knowing what to do, he dried it again. Then he turned around, wondering, what next? The door was open. He could make a dash for it down the hallway. He could run! I was young once, and I wanted things I could not get. The boy's mouth opened, but then he frowned, not knowing he frowned. You thought I was going to say but, didn't you? You thought I was going to say but I didn't steal people's pocketbooks. But I wasn't going to say that. I've done things too. I would not tell you, son, neither tell God if he didn't already know. Sit down while I fix us something to eat. You might run that comb through your hair, so you will look presentable.
In another corner of the room, behind a screen, was a gas plate and an icebox. Mrs. Jones went behind the screen. She did not look behind her to see if the boy would run now, nor did she watch her purse, which she had left in the other room. The boy took great care to stand in the far corner of the room, where he thought the woman could see him, out of the corner of her eye, if she wanted to. He did not trust the woman not to trust him, and he did not want to be mistrusted now. Do you need somebody to go to the store? Maybe get some milk or something?
I don't believe I do, unless you want some sweet milk yourself. I was going to make some cocoa out of this pear milk I got here.
That'll be fine. Mrs. Jones heated up some ham and lima bean she had in the icebox, mixed the cocoa, and set the table. She did not ask the boy anything about where he lived, or what his folks were like, or anything else that might embarrass him. Instead, as they ate, she told him all about her job at a hotel beauty shop that stayed open late, what the work was like, and how all kinds of women came in and out, blondes, redheads, and Spanish. Then she retrieved her purse.
Now here, take this $10 and go buy yourself a pair of blue suede shoes. And don't you ever make the same mistake of latching onto my pocketbook nor nobody else's. Shoes come by like that can be devilish. They'll burn your feet. I got to get my rest now, but I wish you would behave yourself, boy, from here on in. Good night. Behave yourself, boy.
The boy wanted to say something more than, "Thank you, ma'am," to Mrs. Luella Bates, Washington Jones. But as he turned on the barren stoop and looked at the large woman in the doorway, he barely managed to say, "Thank you," before she closed the door, and he never saw her again. Imagine with me that years later, an unexpected letter finds its way into the aged hands of Mrs. Luella Bates, Washington Jones.
Dear Mrs. Luella Bates, Washington Jones, do you remember me? I was a skinny boy, the one who tried to steal your purse. You cuffed me and kicked me and dragged me to your apartment. You fed me, gave me money. You washed my face. You taught me that I could trust and be trusted. Do you remember? Or were there others like me? Well, if there was, I was one of them. Roger, I'm writing to tell you that what you gave me that night was more than I have ever been able to call my own. I got my GED and started working for a carpenter part-time. I've kept the job, and it has grown. I manage the company. Day by day has been hard for me, ma'am. So many temptations. Expensive tools, car keys, ladies. But every time I reached out my hand to fulfill my thoughts, I would draw it back again, because your face would penetrate my mind. Recollecting the kindness and trust that you gave to me caused me to think, if a stranger can trust me, my friend should be able to. That night when I left I felt bad just thanking you. I wanted to say something more, but now I know that is all I can say, and all that will ever do. Thank you, ma'am. Roger.